2, 1, 2. Guys, I know the name of today is how to stay, but right now we are more interested about how to come. So if you guys can please come inside, that will be great. And those of you who are here, if you can please stay, that will be great as well. Okay, we are running a little bit over time, and we want to respect the time of our participant online as well as in here. So friends, I know some of you guys, especially the older ones here, you guys are into your rock concerts. So usually you get the minnows to open for the big guys. So we got guys like Frans Cronje, sort of at the bottom, and the former Meyer and André van Plets and Kroonstad Dorp van Jaar, and they are sort of opening up for the big guns to come in. So it just gets more and more exciting. All right. My very good friend Petrus Groewe is going to share with us now, and Petrus is from Vicksburg, and he is involved with the MD Foundation, the Michio Dei Foundation. He is gereformeerde dominee, reformed predikant, and again, Petrus, because of your disposition as a minister, I'm just going to keep an eye on the time and just awkwardly clean my throat after a while. But what I can tell you is that Petrus' story I find deeply, deeply inspiring. When I first, within the Beter Einde framework, Skalk and I said, geez, we just need some good news stories, especially in agriculture. We just need stories of people who are trying to reconcile, people who are trying to work. And this was in the time of land reform, and everybody was just so polarizing. It was so ugly. And the first story that we encountered was that of Petrus and Vicksburg. And we got a camera guy together. It wasn't very professional. And we went and we filmed Petrus and what they are doing in Vicksburg. And that story has really gone viral in the sense that there are so many people drawing so much hope from what they are doing in Vicksburg. And Petrus, it is such a pleasure to welcome you. Yeah, he drove all the way from Vicksburg this morning. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thanks, Johan, for the opportunity and a privilege to be here this morning. To share in this wonderful good news that we are hearing this morning. And of course, to try and answer this question, how to stay in the Free State. Now, our story is the story of Michio Dei Foundation, like Johan said. And that's a story that started in 2010. And it started with a similar question. A group of farmers asking this question, why are we supposed to stay in the Free State? Why must we continue farming? And it was a question that was asked because people were suffering different, challenges. Some of the farmers, of two of my friends there, colleagues there, their father was killed in a farm murder, so they were really deeply, discouraged by that. Other farmers in the area were struggling with financial challenges and so on. Many people know of those challenges who are farming. And we were asking this question, why are we supposed to continue with this? And we decided to do what most South Africans do, is do something religious. So we sent around a plate to have a collection of money. But that didn't work, so we decided to pray. And every morning we gather to pray. And after some time praying, God revealed to us from Isaiah 58 that He dislikes all these religious things that we are trying to do. trying to be good Christians, but in fact we are not really helping anybody. And what he says in Isaiah 58 is what I like is when you share your bread with the poor, invite people into your house, spend yourself on the poor, break this bondage of slavery and so on. So we were deeply, wonderful. Are you clapping because we could read? Or, but yeah, so no, the Bible just really spoke to us, and we were very glad. And from that moment, we received a new vision that if we are going to continue, answering this question, why to stay, there must be a different purpose. And the purpose for farming must not just be to try and survive financially or make a profit, but this purpose must be to look after the poor and the needy, to take care of the sick, to create jobs, to uplift the community and train people. And that became our vision and our passion. And of course, that's a nice vision and a passion to have, but how do you go about, doing that? So we started we continue to pray. And after praying for some time again, we read in Acts 2, this whole story of the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, where you read that when the Spirit came upon the people, they just, besides all the other things that they did, they shared everything amongst each other. People sold all the things they had, all their possessions, and they brought it to the apostles, and they shared it amongst the people who had need. So we decided, inspired by God, of course, not by ourselves, we decided to give everything we have, all the property we own, all the implements, cattle, and so forth, and we pulled it together and say everything now belongs to God, and all the profit from what we are going to use these property for will be to uplift the community and all those things that I've said. So that's where it started. We started this company, Mishu Day, which means the mission of God. Nobody owns anything anymore. Everything belongs to God. And all the profit, when we make a profit, goes into the community. And sometimes all the debt that we accumulate also goes into the community. We try to use our debt very wisely by spending it on the poor. So that's how the whole process started. And besides farming, our first project was a hospice, because we were really touched about how many people were destitute in our communities. So we renovated the old farmhouse, and it became a facility where we care for people, sick people, 24/7. After that, we started a school, because we realized that many of the children from rural areas don't have access to quality education. So we started a school on one of the farms. Today there's a fully functional primary school from grade RR to grade 7. And we have transport for the kids in the community to get to school and so on. And we really try to build into their lives to become stewards, good stewards of what God, want to use them for in their personal lives, as in the economy and different sectors. After that, we started with a clinic, because there's always health issues and challenges. So we had this wonderful opportunity to partner with government, where they said they will supply us with all the chronic medicines that we need, and all the testing and the pathology that needs to be done. So they came aboard. We renovated the place and to serve as a clinic, as a health facility, and we supply a nurse, and they supply us with all the medical stuff that we need to make that clinic functional. So that's a wonderful story. As we speak, we are in discussions with the Department of Health in Gauteng as well, to start similar clinics there in some areas, also in partnership with government, to really help people to have quality access to healthcare that's really needed in our communities. So that was a wonderful success story in partnership with government. And then We just realized that that's wonderful to do these things, and we are very excited about that. But if we want to make impact in South Africa, we need bigger strategies, to form bigger strategies to address some of the issues that the whole country is struggling with. And one of these things that we really felt passionate about was education, because that's one of the places that you can really influence communities and build the next generation. So we went to a local school in Metkeleng in our community, and we asked them, what are they struggling with? How can we help them? And they immediately told us that they're struggling with foundation phase education. Because children progress to grade 3, and then they are still not able to read properly, to do maths, and then from there on it just goes downhill. And a lot of kids from grade 6, 7, they just end up on the streets. The statistics in South Africa shows us that 50% of grade 1s end up in matric, and only 60% of them pass matric. So you have a small percentage of grade 1 children actually, ending up passing matric. So, touched by that, we started to train people from the community around the school, people with at least a matric qualification, and we trained them to become tutors in that school. The school availed classrooms to us, and so we started to train these people to be remedial teachers in those schools. The first year, they gave us 100 learners that were behind in grade 3, and by the end of that year, all of them passed. So we were really happy about that, and we realized that God really showed us a principle and a method that could add value to the educational system. So by the grace of God, we were able to replicate that same project to another school in the same community with the same kind of success. And then businesses and other people got involved, and we were able to grow that project. Today we have about 27 of these centers at different schools in the country. And we have more than 100 people, daily teaching children in these schools. So it's a very cost-effective way of impacting a lot of children, because you don't need classrooms, you don't need qualified teachers. Well, we actually employ a few teachers. For every 3 schools that we manage, we appoint a teacher to oversee that project and to train these tutors on a weekly basis, so that we make sure that these children are taught properly and so on, and that we have a proper quality education that we supply to these children. We also do discipleship, and we have wonderful stories about how people really becomes family, and how people, get hope from praying together and praying with the children, and we see wonderful things happening. We are now busy with a project to also get involved with the parents of the children, because some of these children are struggling because they are struggling at home. They have a lot of challenges at home, so we are working on a system to now train auxiliary social workers to also get involved with the parents of these children. So we are very thankful for the opportunity, and it's not all our doing, it's God's grace and a lot of people coming together to make these things work. Now, after hearing the story, you might think that it's a very blessed situation, and you can expect God to just abundantly bless you and make you feel this happy, warm kind of nice butterflies in the store. Butterflies, is that the good or the bad thing? I'm not sure. It's when you're in love, I suppose. But anyway, it's a good kind of emotion. But the reality is it doesn't always work like that, because it's tough to do these things, and it's challenging to do these things. We always hear these things and we think, that must be so wonderful. You hear this heavenly choir music all the time. I'm not really fond of harp or violin music anyway, but it's still nice to hear. But the truth is we are struggling in many areas to make these things work. As we speak, our farm is struggling immensely. Almost all our crops were destroyed by this recent drought that we had. The previous years we had too much rain, and all the crops were, just destroyed by too much rain. So it's not the easy space. It's not to say that if you are doing things good things, that you will just experience this wonderful blessing. The truth is, there are challenges in everything that we do. And it brings us back to this question. Why must we continue? We are doing good things and now we are continuing to struggle. Is this worthwhile? Isn't it better to just sell everything and just go on with your life and leave South Africa to care for itself and the Free State to continue on its own? We are constantly busy with this question then. Why must we stay? And I actually think the questions we ask, it's very important that we ask the right questions, because that brings us to some kind of answer, and we need to find the right answers if we want to be motivated, not just to stay, but to stay with hope and to stay with passion. And for that to happen, we need to ask the right questions, because I think a lot of South Africans ask the wrong questions. And that's one of the reasons I think many people are negative in our country and always under stress and not feeling very positive about the future. And I think it's about the wrong questions that we ask, because people tend to start with to ask the questions, where will I be happy? And if you start with that question, you are in a dangerous situation, because then you tend to always look over the fence and see better scenarios. Is that even an English word? It sounds like a canary. Scenario, yeah, that's better. Better scenarios or better situations where I think I will prosper. So we're not settled where we are. Or I tend to ask, where will I be safe? Where will my family, my business be safe? And of course, in South Africa, you just have to watch the news to get that answer. And certainly not in the Free State. Because we know our economy is constantly changing. We are in a country with a lot of violence. There's a lot of tension between people in our country. So if you start by asking those questions, you're not going to feel very happy and cozy in the Free State anyway. So let me share 3 questions that I constantly ask myself to maybe help us to answer this question that we are here to solve or to answer. And I think as a farm community, as Mishu Day, through all the situations that we are enduring, we have to ask ourselves these questions to make sure that we stay focused. The first question I ask is, why am I here? Not where will I be happy or when will I be happy? Why am I here? And the moment I ask that question, I realize that the reason why I'm here is because God intended me to be here in a time like this, in a province like this, in a country like this. I'm not just here by accident, looking for other opportunities. I was designed and destined by God to be in Vicksburg, to be in South Africa in a time like this. I'm not floating around looking for other opportunities. And that question grounds me, because I know there's a purpose for my life. I have a job to do. And the moment I understand that I have a job to do, it takes my attention away from all the other things I worry about and focus on what I'm here for. And the wonderful thing about that job is it's always bigger than myself. I'm busy with something exciting, and I'm busy with something big. And the grace is that God wants to use a loser like me to partner with Him in this big process. So that question grounds me. The fact that I know God intended, He designed me for a time like this. And because I know God is in control of that, I also know He has a plan. And that's also good news for me. Because the way I speak and the way I hear other people speak, sometimes I get to the conclusion that we don't believe that God has a plan anymore. We try and work out our own plans, and we hope the government has a plan. And now we're looking for other governments that has plans that we think aligns better with ourselves. And that's why we tend to go to New Zealand and Canada, because we can find, we align ourselves better with the plans there. But I have to understand again that God has a plan for South Africa. And that excites me because I know then God will provide, then I can expect that God will give me the passion and the energy and will make provision for what's needed to be done in this country. So every time I start to struggle with the challenges in South Africa, I ask this question: why am I here? Because if I know I'm supposed to be here, then I'm not so worried about all the other questions anymore. The next question I ask myself frequently is, who am I? Who am I? Now, the simple question for Christians, of course, is that I'm a child of God through the grace of Jesus Christ, and that makes me a citizen of His new kingdom, a citizen of heaven. We've heard that before. So now I moved citizenship. I have a passport of this new kingdom. I'm a citizen of heaven. So that also helps me because I know it's impossible that God will not look after me and that He will not provide for what we are busy with because I know I'm a citizen of His kingdom. So that gives a lot of encouragement. But there's also a down part in that, and that is because I'm a citizen of heaven, the Bible teaches us, I'm therefore a foreigner and a stranger in this world. And that's very important to get to that point, to realize we are all, if we are busy with this passion of making God's kingdom visible on earth, we must understand that we are doing it as foreigners and strangers in this world. And if I understand that, and if I'm honest about that, then I know that I have no rights to stand on. I have no rights to stand on. I can't demand anything. And that just makes me relax about all the other things that's wrong. Because we are so quick to stand up and react to wrong things being done to us. But if I'm honest about my identity, that I'm a foreigner, I can relax about that. I can expect that. And if you expect things, it's easy to get over them. And then we are not so shocked when things go the other way. If I'm a foreigner, I have no expectation to be treated fairly. And I know that I will suffer injustice. Now, we are so quick to be up in arms about all the injustice. The fact is, God guarantees us that if we are going to follow Him, we will suffer injustice. That's part of the job. And you know, that's part of the places in our lives where Satan attacks us most. Because we are so sensitive to injustice. As if we must be saved from those things. God must protect us from injustice. But it's actually the other way around. He's guaranteeing us that we will suffer those things. Things will not always work out the way you planned them. And that's important for us as a farm to understand that. Because maybe in the back of our minds we thought that because we are doing these nice things, we will just expand and this business will just grow. Actually, it works the other way around. And God helps us to experience and to believe that again. You know, if we read the Bible in 1 Peter 2 and 3, God says actually, He's calling us into this injustice that exists in this world. He says, I call you to bring hope in those situations. So injustice is not something that I need to avoid. As a Christian, God, please take this injustice away. God, please change the government. Please change the situation, this tension. God says, I'm calling you towards those things. And actually, we will see the impact of our lives when we tackle these challenges instead of trying to avoid them. That's many times where we will see the change when we go towards the injustice, where we go towards the challenges instead of trying to get away from that. And that also helps me to relax. The fact that I know something is not wrong because I'm experiencing injustice. Something is not wrong because all the things outside is not functioning well. There's a job for me in these things. There's a calling in these things. And that excites me. And that makes South Africa one of the best countries to be in. Because there are so many places where we can make a simple impact by just realizing that. So who am I? I'm a foreigner. Now that doesn't mean I feel like a daisy every morning when I wake up, because there are so many challenges. But it helps me to stay focused. So I don't have to run away because things are out of place. I can stay in the Free State because there are still things that I need to address by the grace of God. And the last question shortly is, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? A friend of mine, Jaco Strydom, he was in Vicksburg two weeks ago, and he said something very impressive or significant. He said, God created trees. They are wonderful creatures. And the wonderful thing about trees is that they just takes in all the pollution in the air, every bad thing that we produce. They take that in, and in exchange for all those polluted air, they release this wonderful oxygen. And he said that is part of what we are supposed to be as Christians. What are we doing here? We are filters that take in all the nonsense, all the hate, all the injustice, all the uncomfortable things. We take that in, and by the power of God and the grace of God, not by ourselves, in exchange, we can release love and hope, and we can release God's plans and His answers to the challenges that we are facing. And that gives us purpose. And that makes us realize that everyone can make an impact. It's not astrophysics that we must design some kind of wonderful thing. It's an easy process. Everybody at every place just being a filter. Taking in the darkness, releasing the light. And that's hopeful. Because we know the Bible teaches us that the darkness cannot dim out the light. We will see the impact. Everyone can be an impactful person, citizen of the Free State, although our citizenship is from heaven. We can drive back the darkness everywhere we are. And that gives me hope. These three questions. What am I doing here? Who am I? And what is my job that I'm supposed to do? And may that also give you a bit of hope. Thank you.
Thanks, Petrus. There will be a chance to interact a little bit more with Petrus in a bit. I want to introduce Sam Twala. I met him a few months ago at Bothaville, where there was a bigger version of this with all these good stories, and I saw Sam, and he's this big Sotho guy. He looks a little bit like a taxi boss, at least the stereotype that I have, and he doesn't smile much. You're a little bit nervous, and he takes the stage, and I'm like, I go sit at the back just to be safe. And then he's joined on the stage by an Afrikaner called Petrus van Egen. He's a farmer, and he literally has a beard that down to here. So here you've got this Afrikaner who walks like this with this massive beard. You've got this taxi boss who walks like this, and they're on the stage. I'm like, this is something's going to happen on this stage. And it turns out they are the team that teamed up to try and tackle Harry Smith's water issues. And it's just the most unlikely couple you've ever seen in your life. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the farmer here, but I've got the taxi boss here. He's not a taxi boss. I've got I want to say the car wash businessman here in the form of Sam. And he's going to share a little bit with us the challenges that they faced in Harrismith, what were some of the solutions, and also how they are still driving the project. And Sam is not afraid to speak truth to power, and he's not afraid to speak truth to power to us this morning. Sam, thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey, taxi boss. Good morning. I'd like to take this opportunity today to be one of the speakers, especially in church. At least God is taking us somewhere. Thank you, Johan. Everyone put hands together to make this a success during this difficult time. It's very difficult. But through the mercy of God, we will achieve. I'm Sam Twala from Free State. I'm standing here on behalf of Water Heroes and the community of Harrismith. I think not Harrismith only. I think the whole of South Africa needs us. I will share a story. Our story just came up out of nowhere. We were all struggling. Our town, no water. 2018, I think it was June, going towards December, almost 6 months, no water. But the biggest question it was, how can we not have water while we're having the third largest dam in the country, of which it's Streekfontein Dam. Even myself, I never know that this dam is not designed for us as the community of Harrismith or Kwakwa. That dam was designed for people of Gauteng. Other things, it's hard to understand. How can people of Gauteng have their storage here while Vaal Dam is there? It was, you know, if you talk such language to the community while they are frustrated, it's like, this one is joking. This dam is ours. You can't even go down and read and understand why they're saying this is the storage for Vaal. It's not for us. So it was on a Friday. Friends were blaming me because the CEO of MAP Water, we were friends. And a week before, I drove her to Gauteng to buy some of the stuff because I'm familiar with Gauteng. Now we're sitting at the car wash. Now I'm bringing the issue of the car wash. Friends are saying, as a township, actually our downfall is this one. What is this friendship of yours for? If we have to suffer, but now you drove up and down to Gauteng with the people that's supposed to provide us with water. Come, let's go. The journey started. Water purification plant. We got someone explain to us working there, explain the process, say, hey, the problem is not here. Drove out on the road to Kwakwa. When we get there, everyone is there. Engineers, talking. I am listening. Friends are sitting in the car. But there were two guys. These two guys keep on saying, we can fix this. Everyone there, I listen, I go. It was like a small house, they're busy with the pump. I'm listening, but there's these two. These two keep on saying, no, we can fix this, it's easy. I went back to the car. I'm reporting now to the friends, hey, Machita, hey, man, I don't understand what's happening. But there's these two. These two keeps on saying they can fix this. Hey, go back, get that two. Leave these others. Yes. This one is big, other one, hey, I come and let's go. I go. I shall go. When I get there, I look at this one, I say, no, let me talk to this one who's bigger. Hey, man, why are you saying you can fix this? Aggressively so, hey, why are you saying you can fix this? Are you sure you can fix this? Say, yes, of course, why not? Are you serious? Yes. Hey, can we exchange the numbers? Yes. We exchanged the numbers. It was Velem waiting for Pietres. Then Velem called Pietres. Hey, guys, can you come to the township for a meeting? Are you sure? Yes, we can come. Are you sure you can come? Yes. Okay, there's a meeting. I will update you. All started like that. Remember, we had a meeting where they were planning a total shutdown. 2018, 2019, there's a ANC conference, what is this, January statement. They plan now to say, all of them, they will be passing here. So let's shut down the N3, N5. No one will be passing. No ways. Township, township gas is like that. Now tires started burning. We say, come on, guys, we have organized a meeting. Media will be here. We have people with solutions. Map Water have agreed to coming to the meeting. We all went to the meeting. Pietres and Velem, they came. Now I'm feeling to say, these two, they said they will solve the problem. We went. The story from the official was to say it's a drought. No one wanted to listen to that. But amazingly slow, while we're busy interacting, Pietres was sitting a little bit far. Pietres, when got a chance, he stood up and said, look, I've ordered the pump will be here on Friday. Can the municipality allow us to work with them to solve the problem? Then all the community rise to say, let's agree. Are we going to assist each other to solve the problem? They agreed. For the first time, those ladies were crying. They were so brave even to come with the high heels, but we're going on the field. Yeah. Hi, Tash. Hi. Yeah, Pietres, if I can tell you, the first tour, South Africa, it was deliberate. Pietres went there in the morning. That's why I'm always saying these men have been sent by God to save us and even to save South Africa. Pietres went there early. Next to, there's a storage for abattoir, for a feedlot. So there's a junction box there. That junction box, it split the pipe. It's having two pipes. It makes the pipe to breathe. So you know what happened there? On this side, going to the plant, it's a free flow. There's a sluice. This sluice is opening like this. You know what these people have done? Instead of opening full, they're opening it half. Little water goes to the plant. No one was going to see that. Pietres, while we're busy talking, arguing, no, there's two pipes coming in. Why? One. Municipal officials, one. We have Willie Shabalala, who used to be an official at municipality infrastructure, MMC for infrastructure, saying, hey, there are two pipes. Pietres, while we're busy talking, Pietres, come, Samuel, fang me. Bene kan be di vader. Geni vrou mense alles hulle sê so Pietres. We have today. Pietres went in. There's two pipes. Pietres 10. There's a sluice that's close. Beatrice came up. Please, can I have 19 spanner? Beatrice back, open. Even myself, I started feeling the water, boop, 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 boop. The water goes. How? Just because of this. Now you started seeing municipality officials, those who knows, they're standing there smoking now and then. Yes, they got us. Yeah. So our tour started just like that until we installed the new pump. It's long, step by step. That's why I'm saying today when you talk about water reticulations, look, I challenge anyone when it comes to water reticulation. I will take you step by step until it gets into your house. Nothing, no special meeting, nothing with Beatrice. Problems just... Now we like... I don't know what can I say. We like... I'm always saying my family from another mother. Yeah, I will die for that guy. There's no one who was going to spend 5 to 7 million assisting our community. And Beatrice always says, "Nia Samuel, lost the mense be the dorp. Die mense daar by die Lucas kan nie kom by die werk as hulle dit nie water. Lost die mense hier, so hulle sal self uitsorteer. Begin daar." It's like that, you know. Hey, now this one, yeah. We have worked. We changed that municipality. Electricity crisis, Beatrice stood up. We fixed other suburbs without electricity. But now the problem, it was one. The challenges that we had, we're going towards election. This white guy is being used by blacks. On the other side, these black people are being used by white. Eish. Now they don't want to listen. Politicians, where's our mayor there? Hey. These people don't want to buy. Hey, we're here to assist. All the guys that were working, we agreed. Let's all move out our caps. Let's come together and work. And we have achieved. So they tried. Came to us and saying, we give you work. We said, we're not here for your work. We're here to solve the problems. All we have asked to Beatrice is to say, these innocent soldiers volunteering, they must wash their clothes, and can you give them something on daily basis? Beatrice agreed. Like my friend here from Fixback, who was here, Senegal, at least if you volunteer, we'll end up seeing that there's a need to give a little, because even yourself, you must come to work clean and all those things. Little food while we're working. Yeah, we achieve until the people at the community call us water heroes. This, within 3 days, 6 months, within 3 days, the water started dropping out into our taps. It was amazing. Now I can tell you about the major leaks. I can tell you about the in-house leaks. I can tell you about the volumes of water that's supposed to go into the plant, how much water that's supposed to go out, all because of the problems. I've never learned through anything but through the problems that we have experienced. So the challenges that we have, it was that municipality never wanted to cooperate, totally. Nationally and all, and the BBC, after covering our story, it was worse. Who is this boy? Who's this? Everyone questioning, who's this boy? On BBC. Even myself, I'm always watching local news, but I never know that BBC is even taking it overseas. This man is exposing us everywhere. Who is this man? Hey, these white people, please, fire distinguish, quick. Those people, they must not go further than this. It's too much. So they were all behind us. Messi Sulu honored us at the parliament, invited us to parliament. That was the minister, I think, who we shared a lot with her. It's a pity that they managed to move her away. Yeah. Called us to Cape Town, being honored. Everyone was looking to say, you know, it was the first experience to be in such a, and to be honored. Now what we are doing, we managed to have a residents association that was developed through us in Harrismith. It's called HEAT Residents Association. That is doing very wonderful, but few who have joined. That residents association emerged through us to say, when we go and fix a leak, we always asking, hey, Mr. So-and-so, can you buy us? Because we said, Beatrice, it's enough. Stop. This is the money for your family. Don't sponsor us anymore. Community must foresee. We are here to assist. Then they seated down and formed a residents association. Now we're working hand in hand with residents association. If there's a problem, they report to municipality. Municipality fails to do in 48 hours, then they say, Water Heroes, go and fix. Then they keep the records to say we have spent so much and all. So we had a conflict because they started choosing to say, if you don't pay, they don't pick your refuse. Then Beatrice started to be angry. It's what causes it, because Beatrice wanted to assist everyone. Now they started putting a yellow bag. They don't pick it. They only pick the yellow one, the black one, no. So Beatrice started to be angry. We're still trying to sort that one out, but it's doing well. It's closing potholes in towns. So I'm part of the steering committee, which is Val Central Ministerial project. I'm still attending those meetings. There's 1.7 billion that was injected in our municipality. That I don't see it working till today. We're still fighting with Val Central and everyone to say no sewer that is being treated from our town, especially we are the source of water. People of Gauteng, if you cry that your water is having too much acid, I believe it's a yes. Because all our mess is not treated, it goes straight to our streams. You can go there and we're fighting day in and day out. 1.7 billion it's been injected, but you don't attend to a serious thing like that. I don't think even our streams still have fishes. There's a picture, there's a newspaper that was showing all these water species lying down dead because of the mess that we're still a pressure group. We're fighting with them day in and day out, meeting after meeting. We don't know, maybe we will manage to fix all this. Joanne, I think we are too scattered. I don't know if you called us today, when you'll be calling us again. I think Free State, we are smart, but we are scattered. I've never known there's such a beautiful thing in Senegal. I've never known Fixback is doing wonders. I've known today. If we are 6, 10 people doing wonderful, but we don't know each other, which means there's no progress, right? But if we can come together once a month or so, we're going to bring change. I will visit Senegal to see those wonderful structures. I will visit Kroonstad. I will visit Fixback. It's time that we join hands. You see, what about Bethlehem? What about Polru? What about all those small towns? We must have such people. We must have the Beatrices. We must have them in each and every town. Let's put politics aside. Please, Johan, it's the task that I'm giving it to you. In closing, I want to say to all of you, just take a moment. have 3 games, 3 last games, Springbok last games. I think it was against France, England, New Zealand. Just close your eyes and take that moment in South Africa. What was happening? You'll understand. To say God is pushing us somewhere. You see, He needs this country to be like that. If you close your eyes and take that moment, Springbok games, the last 3 games of the World Cup, close your eyes and have a picture, emotionally so, of South Africa at that moment. It tells you that God wants. Exactly. Look at the elections now. God is pushing us somewhere. South Africa, come together, you are a beautiful country. So by that, I'm saying thank you, Johan. We'll share a lot. I have videos, we have numbers, we'll share all the progress because of time, everything that we have done. But we're willing to visit all the towns and share all the stories and even help. I thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I think we were inspired by Chasing the Sun because it's this collaboration between this very Afrikaner guy, you know, Rassie, and this very Xhosa guy, Sia, you know. And this collaboration is what resulted in something very beautiful. And I think the Chasing the Sun or Chasing the Water in Harry Smith is as exciting. You've got this mythical figure called Petrus. It's not this Petrus, by the way. And Sam, and this combination is just reaping so much fruit. So Sam, thank you for that. Don't be too naive to think that Sam is just this wonderful altruist guy. He's got mixed motives. He runs a car wash. So he wants the water. So thank you so much, Sam. And then our last speaker is going to be a very good friend of mine, Trevor Ntlola, and I have to apologize. He's not a Free Stater. But he really has lived a life of reconciliation. And there's one thing that we want to emphasize, and that is that you can have good intentioned politicians, you can have good, I want to say, community black people, you can have good Afrikaners on the one hand. If we are just going to build our own empires or going to do it ourselves, then there's just no sustainability in fixing the towns in South Africa. We're going to have a combined solution, hence the Sia-Rassie arrangement again. And Trevor has spent a big part of his life, a big part of his theological training, his pastoral ministry, focusing on reconciliation. And Trevor, that's why we are very excited to listen to you. So if you can just join us here on the stage. This is Trevor Ntlola. He likes to call himself Dr. Trevor Ntlola. He did his PhD at the University of Pretoria, and he'll share a little bit more about a guy called Adrian Vlok. But a couple of years ago, you would not expect a guy like Trevor, who again he's very black, and a guy like Adrian Vlok, who's very Afrikaans, to go around the country and sharing the story of reconciliation. As a matter of fact, if you look in this collage just outside of the church, you'll see a picture of him and Adrian coming here to Pelessier to also share a story of reconciliation. So thank you so much, Trevor, for briefly sharing on reconciliation. Let's give him a round of applause. You wanted, yeah?
Yeah, can you remove this?
Yeah.
Good morning. Molweni. Dumelang. I'm from originally I'm from Soweto. So in Soweto we go like hola 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 or ita ita. You're supposed to say ita ita ita. You know what, I want to confess. You can't put blacks for 3 hours, 4 hours without singing. Please. Please. You know, we black people, when we are sad, we sing. When we are happy, we sing. When we go and kill, we do it and then we sing. So singing is part of our life. So is it okay if we do something? I know white people don't have a rhythm. They go like, Johan and I gave you an African name, Dichaba. Skulk. I see them when we sing, and then I realize no. So is it okay if we sing a song? Is that okay? You forgive me, I feel at home because I've been here before, and Charles and I, we interact, so I feel so much relaxed. And sometimes I was sitting there at the back, I felt like, you know what, we have so much stories. Can't we just dance in the last session and we close? You don't have to listen to Trevor's story. And we'll have fun. Is that okay? I think you can. I know he's going to be angry at me. I want to play the drums. And is there a song that we can sing? No. Did you hear he said, Usiphethe kahle baba. Hallelujah. Okay. Unfortunately. Sorry? We need more. Mem. Ria ulebo. Lisibayo. Me twin. Okay, let's do that. Okay, wait. So we're going to put it, we're going to put some spices. Yes. Okay, I'm not happy.
What? Can I perhaps just, for those who do not know, it says, thank you, Lord, our God. So every time we say, thank you, Lord, our God, thank you, Lord, our God.
Amen. And do you know her name is Mentabise? I'm not joking. Am I right? Yes. I asked her African name. She said, my name is Tabise. So I call her Mem Tabise. I want to tell you a story. There was this black guy who was invited to go and preach in a white church. And then, you know what the stories that I've been listening to me, they are fun. And I think God has got a trick that he put us into a problem and say, aha, I want to see how you're going to do this. And you see the outcome become so beautiful. Listen, hear these stories, that we just heard. So this black guy, he walks into this church, first time in Evers to preach with the Abelungu, Mahoa, and then as he's preaching, he finished preaching, and then right at the end, of course, he was trained that when you finish preaching, you pray for people, for those who want their life to be changed, to be altered, they call it altar call, and then eventually there was this white old lady coming there, to want to be prayed for. But I want you to put a comma there. A few years before, this young black man in Soweto, because I want to tell that story, he was in a meeting in the 90s, after Mandela just come out of the prison. So they had this meeting, and then there were Christians, and in one of them, this big Afrikaner lady, her name is Karen. And then she said something in the meeting. She said, I just want to tell you that I love black people. I love blacks, you know. And then this young man who was sitting there, he didn't feel okay. You know, sometimes white people will patronize black people. You know, like it's like you're a pet. You're like your little dog, and they'll say, I love black people. And then, so this young man is he went to this big Afrikaner lady, says, we don't like when you refer to us that you like us. You're not supposed to like black people. You're supposed to love human beings. Stop patronizing us. So as he was trying to say this big Afrikaner just, because he was so big, and this young man was this size, and he just embraced her, and then somewhere there, this young man disappeared. He was nowhere. To remember that comma that I said, this was another Karen, a few years later. I think a number of years later. So he's finished preaching, this lady comes. But she's not big. Her name is also Karen. So these are two Karen. And the other Karen comes, and then she stands there. And then she starts to cry. So you know, in South Africa, there's a relationship between a black man and a white woman. You know, it's a strange relationship. It's like, you know, we're trying to be uncomfortable, to be nice, but actually, there's this thing that I don't know how to describe. By the way, English is not neither my fourth language. So if I confuse you with my he or she, you know, we're supposed to say he or she. In fact, in Afrikaans, you also have the hey and what? Say, yeah. So if you, in our African language, you don't have those things. We don't have he or she and all of that. So if you get confused, not my problem, it's your problem, you need to concentrate. Is that okay? So finally, this lady, she started to cry. She looked at this black man, and then she stops. When she was about to tell the story, what is going on, she would just cry. And finally, she gathered herself. And then she tells the story. She says, when they called you to come in front, God said, I must tell you, I must come to you and ask for forgiveness. And she started to cry again. And this black man is confused. First time in a white church or to preach in that church. And then eventually, she stopped again. So by this time, this black man is confused. What is going on? And then she said, during the week, my daughter and I, we were hijacked by black people. So we know, the people hijacked in this country is blacks. And you white people, you must never go and hijack, because that's not your problem, it's our problem. So it's our stuff. So, and then vice versa. You black people, you must not go and do other things that white people are doing, because this is their problem. So we must stick to your line, because if you do your thing there and you do vice versa, you're just increasing the problem of South Africa. So here, she finally says, yes, I was hijacked with my daughter. And this black man is going like, what? And then she goes like, God said, I must ask you for forgiveness for hating you as a black person. I don't know if you hear what's going on there. You know, she's a victim of black people, and she's the one now who is asking for forgiveness for hating black people. I don't know if you get the paradox. And then this black man is still confused. Right there, the lady is waiting for her to respond. Eventually, this young man got a point. And then she hugged her after he said, I forgive you. And she hugged her very close, not like the other what? Karen. And then it was authentic and a true reconciliation time or space. I'm telling that story, it's my story. When I was pastoring a 96% white members church, you know, one of my encounter in that church was meeting Karen. And Karen made me to realize that my skin color, my gender that I never chose, that God gave it to me. I never chose to be black. I never chose to be born in this country. I never chose to be a man. And God plunged me in this country. And when I stood up there preaching, God used my gender, used my color of my skin to say, we are going to work out this. If we're sitting in our little corners, black and white, we don't do the zigzag. I want to write a book, The Zigzag in South Africa. We are going to be little people crying about our own problems. But as we do the zigzag between Fixberg and Ekasi and all that, we are going to see God working in our lives. I'm saying this because I've walked that journey. In fact, this morning I was phoning Karen. Not the other Karen, but this other Karen. And I asked her, how are you doing? We have known each other for almost 20 years. And I asked her, how are you doing? She said, Trevor, I've been praying for you. I said, but we have not. I said, how are you doing? And I tell her, I said, I'm in Free State. I'm going to tell the people about your story. She said, I'm sick. I would like you to pray for me. So this morning I prayed for her. So this country, it's got these funny relationships that we use each other, the Fanagaro relationships. You know those ones? I use your money, you use my black skin, and we call it a partnership, when actually it's nonsense. My relationship with Skalk, and then this, what's your name? That young man, Johan. Boss, he says his name is Boss. If we have to come and listen to our conversation, you won't believe. And I love it. So I want to tell two stories, and I'm going to shut up. So some years ago, when I was pastoring this white church, you know, South Africa is an interesting story because we have to say the color of their skin and all that. And I don't think we should make a big thing about it. You know, we are too serious, we're too apologetic. And I just sitting here listening, I enjoy this. So I was at the airport in George. I was going through a difficult time. My wife had dumped me, so I was singing, I was crying. And so, you know, George Airport is a small airport. You know that? They were created for P.W. Botha and his friends. There were 8 of them, and they created and it's not a big town. They have about 40 cars going around the city just to give an impression that we also are a town, you know. But after that, so I was there. And they just prayed for me. I felt, you know, God was healing me. So I'm sitting at the airport going home. And then while I was there, I see these 3 figures there walking. And one of them is tall. And I'm going like, I know this guy. And as they came closer, I said, I know this guy. And as they come closer, I realized his name is Andrian Vlok. Do you remember Andrian Vlok? You know, in the Black Township, we were not scared of Botha or these other guys. We're not scared of you. We're scared of Vlok. In the 80s, Vlok was a minister of what? They call it law and what? And order. You know, we'll go like, oh, anyway, let me not go there. So the next thing, when they say Vlok, we associate Vlok with state of emergency. You remember that? We associate going to prison, what, without trial? What's that phrase, that line? Yes. Can you say it louder? Detention without trial and all that. So I lived in the 80s in Soweto. We lived there, most of black people. So when we say Vlok, we're like, oh. So we used to be scared of white people. Let me say this. Now in the new South Africa, Vlok, I almost said Vlok. Skalk and my friend there, they are scared of black people. And we go like, we used to be scared of you, now it's our turn, you're scared of us. So I pounced on Vlok at the airport, at the small airport. I went to him, I said, by that time, God had changed his life. He had been to TRC already. He had washed the feet of Frank Chikane, one of my, it's not my friend, but I came to know Frank. So I pounced to him, I said to him, listen, I know you. I said that 3 times. And one thing that God has freed us, for me as a Christian from Soweto, is that has freed me from this false fear of white people. Because I realized white people are human beings. They are scared, they fight, they do all of these things. I was with these guys for 2 hours in the car, and I know they were fighting, but I just behaved. I was the only black person in the car. So white people are just human beings. And then, as I said that to Frog, he froze. And I just loved it. Oh, my turn in life to freeze the white person. So I left him freezing for 2 minutes, which is long for a white person. Eventually I said to him, listen, I want to thank God what God has done in your life. And we connected without going to the details. We made because I was flying out, Flock, I think he was coming a few hours later. So we met in Joburg because he's also from Gauteng. We spent 4 hours. 4 hours. He was telling me everything, like stuff that I was like, I couldn't believe. And I said, are you not scared? He said, no. And then I end up going to Flock's house. If you want to talk reconciliation, please mean it. Like you are telling the stories. Reconciliation in this country has become a dirty word, a cheap word. And the biblical one that Jesus talks about, he says, if you realize that you have an issue with someone, you take your offering or worship and postpone it. Put it aside. Go and postpone this vertical one. Because that one can wait. You know, the relationship with God, according to Jesus, says, this one can wait. Go and fix this horizontal one. And after you fix it, then you can come. You remember that? Matthew chapter 5, verse 23. And then, the problem with this country, for many years, if not centuries, we have postponed this one here. And you know what? We spend time on this one. On Sunday, you come here in your beautiful church here, and then we also meet in the townships, and then during the week, we just hate each other. And it makes me sick, I'm just telling you, because when I gave my life to the Lord told me in Soweto that you are a racist. God telling me in 1988, you know 1988 was the Spirit of God in this country? In the 50s, the Spirit of God was working in this country. I have an Afrikaner friend who told me that God told him in 1956, he was a student at Stellenbosch. They used to kick black staff there, and then the Holy Spirit told him, stop it. 1956, and I'm thinking, was the Holy Spirit around in 1956? I'm trying to say to all of us, including black people who are here, God has been talking to us throughout, and we hardened our heart. We align ourselves with National Party, we align ourselves with ANC, we align with EFF, and we call ourselves Christians. Until we take our position and become Christians in a proper way, not these perversions of Christianity. The one that is in the Bible, where you postpone this one, not for a long time, you go and fix this one. And Frog and I, we started to go around. How can a black person go around with Frog? Do you know that is politically incorrect? It's scandalous. It makes you to be seen by black people that you are a sellout, you're impimpi. But if you take God serious, you will get out of that thing and you transcend it because you love God more than want to be politically correct. I'm sorry, I'm in a preaching mode. You must forgive me. And I know my friend is watching at me. I'm finishing now, you know. At Flock, we went around the country. And then God, I'm looking at you. I know why he's standing, he's sitting here. So, Flock and I, we went around the country. Well, not other, but we've been here. We're sitting here, Flock and I. And I've been to his house. I've seen black people working in his house. I was telling that the Professor Nakedi yesterday night and said, you know, I've been to Flock's house. I've seen God what he's doing. And then my professor at the university said, Trevor, stop your PhD on this thing. Do your PhD on Flock because one day he's going to drop dead. And I don't know anybody who's doing a research on him. And I dropped my topic and I decided to do it on Flock. So I'm an expert on Flock. Because there are people who will not listen to you when you say God, God, because you become allergic to God, to the gospel. So when you tell people about God, people say, oh, we heard that. It's like we're becoming allergic to God. But when you bring stuff like, oh, I've got a PhD, they will listen to you. It's so sad. When Paul writes to the Corinthians, I'm not interested in your education. I am interested that you know Christ who's crucified. So I am here to tell you, let's go and dirty our hands. Forget that you are white. Forget you are an ANC. If you are a child of God in the ANC, in the FF plus or FFE, or all of these F, or all, give your life to God and serve Him in that space. Because you never choose to be white, you never choose to be black, you never choose to be the gender that you have. So what makes a big deal about it? I've come to a point many years ago that, you know what, my blackness, it makes me not to go far. But when I say I'm a Christian, and you say you're a Christian, I say, okay, now we have a platform. Our country is so racist. This South Africa, I know America is worse than us. I know Europe is worse, and I mean it. I mean it. At least in our country, we have to call it apartheid, we have a label. They think they are smart, they're all that. But God is doing something. In conclusion, my friend, then, on the 26th of April, 1990, 25, 24th, 24th, 23, and then you can go on 3 months. In the township, we were butchering each other, if you remember that. There was a violence in the townships. And then one of the things that was happening was that unless the Inkatha comes into the elections, we're not going to have, and then we all were scared, if you remember that. And then there were people, the Gogos, the Memasi, Ntabise of this world, of South Africa, who were praying and calling on God. And the 27 came. There was not a single person who was killed in this country. And the day before, people were butchering. 26, 25, all the way 3 months before that. On the 27th, there was a peace in this country. The world started to call us a miraculous nation. Don't ever forget that if you are a Christian. I'm saying this to say the stories that we have heard, are the people who went and dirtied their hands. And then out of that, God said, we can work together. So let's zigzag this country for the kingdom of God. And I want to be part of that. And I'm coming back to Bloemfontein. I'm not going to wait for these two white guys here. I have heard these stories, so I want to get into the truck and go to visit these places because it has made me to be excited. I couldn't wait to say when. And then I want to say, may God bless you. You have a beautiful place here in Bloemfontein. The National Party was started here. ANC was started here. One of your grandson, Bram Fischer, he's my hero. An Afrikaner, a true Afrikaner, you know. When I read up, go like, I wish I was born at that time. So let's go and serve the Lord. And if possible, let's postpone this the vertical part and push this vertical part, and then we come together and we get this one, and then you know what? We'll become like terrorists. Yeah, I know you don't want to hear that. And we put the bombs of love around our bodies. And we go to Fricksburg, we go to around the country, and we allow God to make us, to release these bombs of love to hold the whole country, and our country, it end up changed. May the Lord of mercy bless you. Thank you for this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor. I want to invite Sam, if you can join us, Skalk, if you can join us, Petrus, if you can also join us here at the top. I was asked by the Junior City Council of Pretoria to assist with sort of a racial thing there, sort of reconciliation, and they had some tension, and I couldn't be there, so I sent Trevor. So eventually I speak to the guy from from the city council. I said, how was the thing with Trevor? He said, no, we were confused at first because we just started singing. But after a while, it made sense. But it was these bunch of Afrikaners, and Trevor just starts playing a drum there between them. So, Skalk, if you can just help facilitate this, and then, friends, are you guys still patient? Are you still okay? All right. Thank you so much.
I want to. Puma Satan. I want to say I'll be brief, but we've been given such treasure that I also don't want to be brief, but since I'm white, I'll be brief. They say white people own watches, but Africans own the time. Same procedure as last year. I just want to test if you are quick or not. Petrus, for an Afrikaner farmer called Petrus, your fashion is very good. Who helped you?
Yeah, I'm married as well.
Thank you. Sam, if the car wash don't work out, have you ever considered stand-up comedy?
Say it again.
Have you ever considered stand-up comedy as a job, like Trevor Noah or
No.
Trevor, I don't know what to ask you, but I'll confess, one of the things which made me racist is, you'll edit this from the video, Charles. My dad was a farmer, so I'm an Afrikaner, and one of the things that brings back the old Skalk without Jesus is when black people talk about South Africa and they say our country, because my dad farmed with cows. And now when you say country, I'm thinking a cow, and then I realize you're talking about Mzansi, which is full of bull. Anyway, my question to you is it harder to say country or the distinction between a bed and a bird?
Yeah, I struggle to pronounce these English words. I think English is a terrible language. And no offense, I just think as an African person, yeah. And then I don't care if I mispronounce it. Sorry. Yeah, it's not my language. Sorry for those who are
And last funny question is, what's happening with this mic? We can share. Keep that one for you guys. Do you know that when you start playing drums and singing, for most of us, we get scared. We start thinking like Pitretief and wondering what you're planning. So I know you try and be friendly and icebreaker, but it's make us scared, like, yeah. Those drums don't bring happy memories for us. Something I picked up in a few of this is, we talk about the work, the pipes and this and that, but you mentioned it, and you mentioned Flock coming into each other's houses. Flock invited you to his house, which sounds so stupid, but you take the effort of mentioning it. And you mentioned receiving someone in your home. I'm curious because your home became a hospice, so do you still have a home where you can invite people? And my question to both of you is, does it happen automatically if you're a Christian or serious about these things? Petrus, even, you work together on the pipes, but have you been in his house or has he been in your home? I would like any of you or all of you to comment briefly, without a sermon, this thing about getting in each other's home. Is it a metaphor, or you physically want me to have a black person in my house?
Yeah, I think it's automatically for a Christian to invite other people into their houses, but it's not automatic for us, because we're not always Christians. Because we need to broaden our perspective on what it means to be a Christian, but it's something that we need to do intentionally. It doesn't just happen. There are unseen barriers that divides people, and sometimes you have to intentionally break down those things and be an example to a community to do that. And remind yourself every now and then that that's your calling, not just talking about it, but practicing it. So, we've seen it the other way around. You invite people, but when you go to other people in black communities, they are also a bit scared of inviting white people to their homes. So it's an interesting thing in South Africa that I think we need to break, and wonderful things happen when we start to do that.
Yeah, yes, I'll also support. And if you get the invite, let it not be just an invite. You must also show a willingness and encourage yourself to say, if I visit now, Petrus, what is it that I'm going for? It's just a visit without getting anything, you see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it, from a biblical point of view, the Bible talks about being hospitable, and then I don't think often we hear sermons about from that point of view of hospitality, as long as it happens among people that smells and dress the same like ours. There's something strange about apartheid. It has for us from black people, we are used to go to the white people's house. But the wall that apartheid created was invisible. The white people, we didn't know what is going on our side. But we know. So when Flock came to my house, I couldn't believe, this is a former, So there's something about inviting each other. It's like we break this apartheid invisible wall. And then we come to know each other. And then the family and others. So I think we need to be intentional about this. I think let me stop there.
Yeah, we can fix our towns, but we must, if we want to bring numbers with us, we can be real about our issues. And Johan and I keep going because we just use humor to deal with all the difficult stuff, which doesn't mean your video doesn't bring me to tears, or I don't get really angry or really scared. So I'm thinking if white people, if I encourage them to invite black people to their homes, or especially poorer black people, the rich guys, they can come. But the poor black people, they my white friends, it's where we start. You check that the TV is fixed to the wall nicely with bolts, and you wonder, is anything going to disappear from my house? Then black people, when they invite white people over, they check that the stand is secure because the white end up taking the land. So we can talk about fixing the country together and fixing our towns, but what I've picked up now in this group is there's the technical stuff we do together. But coming together in our houses, or talking about my fear about black people, or I stress when you say country, being real about these things, it's just as practical as painting a stop sign. And we don't have to stay stuck on these things. It's nice anyway to talk while we're working. But I'm hearing from this group more, some of the perceptions. Was it you that said the blacks say you're being used by the whites, but then also vice versa?
Yes.
So my question in this light, not about the pipes and the farm, but in terms of the relationships, literally, how often do you feel like giving up? Or do you never feel like giving up?
If you're doing the good thing, you'll never feel like giving up. But if there was a motive behind, you will give up. You see, that's it. But because it was for the good and for the betterment of the community, as I've said, there was no special meeting to say we planned this. It just happened through the problems. Then there's no way you can give up.
I think, to be honest, there are times that we feel like, giving up. When you are faced with a lot of challenges and when things don't turn out the way you planned them, I think we all, we sometimes arrive at that point. But But then we need to readjust the way we measure success, because I think for white people, we're all about success. We want to see something grow or something, there must be some part of it that must be very successful. Then we feel good about ourselves. And I think for me, it's a constant thing of readjusting what I see as success. Success is the relationships that we build. Success is, the hope that is spreading into people's life. It's not how big, how much money, how many numbers we are doing those things, we are involving in projects. So I think for me, because I'm project-minded, I sometimes run into this thing that I feel, oh, shucks, it's not worth it. But yeah, then I readjust to that, and I think it helps me a lot to get to calibrate God, to recalibrate into what the kingdom's success measures are, and so on. And that's inspiring to me. Yeah.
I think for me, the issue of spirituality, it's easy to be pragmatic. Let's do this and do this and do this. But somewhere, people start to steal, people start to do other things. Sometimes we feel white people, they want to be bossy again, they want to walk out. But if our relationship with God, this vertical aspect that I spoke about, it does something to us. You want to go back. When I was pastoring this white church, you can imagine, I wanted to walk out because there were racial stuff that I thought I would handle it, but the longer I continued, I remember we're sitting in a board meeting, and then I kept telling them about this young Afrikaner guy who for me, I felt like he was very racist. And I said, I can't do this. He thinks I'm Jesus. So one of the ladies in the says, Trevor, I'm not supposed to be Jesus. And then without hearing myself, said, no. And then he said, did you say no? So, and when he pointed out, I realized that sometimes we go into these spaces because we go there with a solving mentality. But when it's centered in God, with brothers and sisters who feed back to you, and then you hear yourself going like, I'm not Jesus, I don't want to be Jesus. And then you realize that, you know what? It was not centered in God. So, and if we continue that way, centered in God, it goes beyond optimism. Optimism is based on because of this, because of this, because of this, therefore our country will go forward. But when it's based on hope and optimism, they're not the same. Hope is based on God. It can be bleak as 1994, but through God we made it. So I think it's important that the spiritual element with God, and I'm not trivializing when I say, because sometimes, as I said, we become allergic. We think spirituality, relationship with God is something that, but for me it's not. It has sustained me, it has pushed me back to God to pray and say, the following day or the third day or so, I want to go back to that guy and be a pastor in that church. So for me, it must be centered in a true, vulnerable spirituality, Christian spirituality.
Yeah, we're going a bit deeper now, and I like the fact that we end today a little bit with stuff of the heart, because it's just as practical as the stuff of the hands. Yes. And why we're finding each other today is we are all people doing stuff. Then if you do together, it's easy to talk. The allergic thing that people don't come to is talking more workshops. No one has appetite for that. But it doesn't take away that when I look at your journey, all our speakers, it's not simplistic, it's not cheap. It's messy, it's nuanced, it's sophisticated. So I like that. So I'm going to end with two naughty things to do. Firstly, you all preached at us a lot, so I'm going to get back at you now. I'm going to give you your question and time to think. And in that time, I'm going to do something again. I'm going to ask you, what is the thing that you haven't learned yet? So don't turn it into a sermon or a virtue or what. It's honest. What haven't you learned yet? Because if we model our successes, we can also model our failures. Because the people sitting here and the people watching on a screen are also failing. So I want to ask the three of you, what haven't you learned yet? To be raw, and if it's very bad, we'll edit. if it concerns your wife or something, but what haven't you learned yet? So you have time to think. Now, breaking the program, I've got one friend here, Tandolwetu. His soccer name is Marcelo. He's wearing a mask. I don't know. COVID is verby, Papa. I said, ons is vry. It's over. And I think he's not feeling well. I'm going to call you up and put you on the spot. You don't know anything, but he stays in phase 7. And I'm going to be vulnerable. Something that he doesn't know. Come here, Baba. Come here. He's a very brilliant soccer player, although it doesn't look like it. Marcelo, his soccer name is Marcelo. What he doesn't know is, last time I was in Bloem, I visited your shack. And inside his shack, there's zincs on the outside, and inside there's like some type of insulation, I think to keep the wind out or to look nice. I don't know, that inner layer. But as Afrikaans, I was so shocked last time I was in your shack, and I didn't tell him, but his whole shack on the inside is orange with that insulation. Am I right? So that orange he's using to put the whole inside of his shack is exactly not just the color, but it's exactly the bag of my particular brand of dog food. Montaki, classic, what. So the dog food I'm going through in Joburg in my house, those bags I'm throwing away, not recycling, is the insulation for one of my friends' homes. Yeah, and I stood with that for a very long time. So I can never sit in front of you as someone arrogant or too sure of myself, even about my morality. Because in a world where my dog food, empty dog food, never mind the cost of the dog food and the cost of food, those two realities are still living with me. I want to ask you a simple question. You've heard everyone talking here in Gamlas. Relatively rich people driving here with cars, talking about changing the world. And I'm putting you on the spot, which is fine. As someone staying in Ikasi, in Zincs, what are we not hearing here? What if you could say, I wish they knew from your perspective, thinking of all the kids around you where you stay, what are we not getting, what are we not hearing? What if you could say one thing, not going home saying, I wish I could have told them. Now you can. That's the question to you. So I don't know if you want time to think. Let me give him time. Now the three of you, the question was, what haven't you learned yet?
I haven't learned criminality.
Fake. 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 He's saying he hasn't learned criminality. You can answer, I'm coming back until you give us a real weakness. Okay?
Yeah, I think I haven't learned completely yet that to love people more than projects and try to solve things. I think I must learn to love people more, be more involved with them, not use people to do things, to solve things, but to love them and care for them. I think to be more humble in that, I think that's something I still need to learn. Instead of just solving stuff and look good on the outside.
Thank you.
Thank you once. I think being short-tempered, I think it's where my weakness is. I have to strengthen it up. And also to be, what can I say? Be more willing than giving it up on some of the things. It's not that giving up, but to say, let me leave it like this. You see? Yeah, like for an example, let me say, it was a week, there's a tragedy that happened in my township. Robberies in 7 of the Shibins, and the last Shibin, 2 boys were shot. Yeah, they are burying them. If I stood up the way I'm brave, I feel I should have saved them. But instead, they came to my car wash. They closed me down. You see, when they visited me, they came with 20 of their cars, police. But now imagine people robbing from what is Mangaung, what is Pelindaba, moving tavern by tavern until they come to town. They end up maybe Capello shooting people like nobody, but there was no police cars, you see. Those are the things that I feel. If I've overreacted to the police, but instead I said, okay, I will close my place, it's fine. But I will see the next Monday who will be the talk of the town. Unfortunately, lives, you see, it's something that I have to learn. If I've stood up and say, I know because already some shops there are 4 shops in town, and I know the culprits, but because at the end we're becoming the victims of the police, you said, I decided to keep quiet. I was once arrested after getting stolen goods, 500,000 or something. But at the end, I was charged kidnapping, assault, and all. Now here it happens. I know who are these people who are robbing. I never stood up, you see. It's something that I must say. No matter what, I carry on.
Let me look in the camera. When you share the clips of this workshop, these are not a bunch of stupid people, naive, saying, hey, then Petrus, he opened the water, hey, hallelujah, praise Jesus. We're not that stupid. We're not blind to the challenges of our country, which your story is very, very serious. We're not blind to the challenges of our own hearts as part of the problem and the solution.
Yeah, no one has ever asked me this question, and you asked me to be honest, and then you said this won't be on the camera. I work in a squatter camp, and I worked among poor people, and the thing that I struggle with is my black middle class people. I have an issue with, I'm a black middle class. I don't mean I'm rich, but I have a certain level of education. I have an access to the average black people in the continent that they don't have. I've traveled around the world. I think many black people in this country, the middle class, I think they're not taking the issue of poverty, the poor, very serious. The worst one are Christians, black middle class. Let me not elaborate, but you asked me that, so I'm giving to you. I have an issue with the black middle class Christian. Probably, maybe I expected too much. I know they are human beings, they are broken. But I think if they can lower their lifestyle, than to wait for the government, we can change the country.
I didn't ask what's wrong with the black middle class Christians. I said, what's wrong with you? So if you say you have an issue,
Myself.
what do you mean? Jesus didn't die for them, or you hate them, or?
Maybe the weight is not hate, but maybe I expected too much, or maybe I have not forgiven them. I'm disappointed. Yeah, maybe the weight is disappointed. I expected that as Christians, we're supposed to have gone lower and then help. Because the Afrikaners paid for my studies to go to school. I didn't mention that. So I expected that we black, the middle class, we should go down and help people like this. As black, I'm not talking about white Christians. I'm saying that's what I struggle with, to forgive. Maybe I'm disappointed. I don't know how to phrase it. Sorry. Yeah.
When we talk, we are set free, because every week I hear white people telling me, "Ja, Skalk, we must always help, but what about the black people? Why don't they help themselves or each other?" Have you heard that? Okay, so now we have a video of a black person saying it. You can spread it around. No, talking it's hard work, same as fixing potholes.
Let me first begin by greeting all of you guys, and thank you, Skalk, for the opportunity. Trust me, I was not briefed about this. This is, I was caught off guard. I don't know even what to say, but hence I asked for a few minutes to at least think or rethink about the question. So I think to answer the question that Skalk has posed to me, I would first like to thank Pelesir for working with us, you know, and many more other churches who are involved in working with us, the community of Phase 7. They've been doing a great job, and we are glad. I'm with two guys here, Kosnati and Luvoyo. We've been involved in the afternoon English Sunday sessions here at Pelesir. But yeah, we've been scarce for some time because of some other things. So just to answer your question, Skalk, I think one of the things that most of the people who are willing to help, like, they don't understand. When they go to us, yeah, it's true. We're suffering, we live in the shacks, we're using pit toilets, we sometimes go months without water, and we go to school with torn shoes. We don't have like primary school in our school. I mean, in our community. It's true we're suffering, but if you go to us and you come with the solutions, I mean, that for us, yes, it's helping and we appreciate that. But unfortunately, solutions, you will come with your own solutions, you impose to us, and then you leave. And then maybe a year or a month later, you come back. Everything is vandalized or it's stolen, or it's not in the state that you left with is. So obviously, you get discouraged. And then the question comes, why can't they help themselves? We are trying to help them, but look what they are doing. They're stealing the things that we have given to them. So what I would like to say, and it's been mentioned here, is that build a relationship. First, get to know a person, which is one of the things that Pelesir has been doing. They have built a relationship with us, and they're working us like baby steps, because, I mean, they get us not perfect. We have our own faults. We have our own stuff that we have been doing before they've been there, but they are patient with us. So what I would like to say is a relationship. It's a primary thing to do. It's just a basic thing. Start with a relationship, and then everything will happen from there. Thank you, Skalk.
You've thanked Pelesir for what they're doing in the hood in Kasi, and I'd like to thank Pelesir for what they're doing here, including the recordings and so on. It's not a formality, it's a where's Charles? Charles is there. I know it's not just you, it's you and your team. The sound guys, thanks for not messing it up. The camera people, we have a deep appreciation. These things don't just happen. The weirdest way to end this is I'm going to give 2 minutes of forced silence, where I don't summarize, I don't preach, we don't say anything. You can just sit like this, and whether you think horizontally or you pray vertically or whatever you want to do, I think we've been flooded with a tsunami of hope, good news, but also realism, reality. And we're hitting the world, walking out here, checking our phones for the election results, etc. So I want to give us 2 minutes where I'm a Christian, so I'll talk to God and say, Here, wat nou, wat beteken hierdie vir my? Wat wil U vir my sê? If you don't want to do that, you just sit and think, what's my next move? What have I learned? So just to internalize before we run off. And then after the 2 minutes is finished, I'll ask one of your two friends, when you think our 2 minutes are enough, you just stand up and say Amen. And that Amen means all of you go home and change the country. Are we together? All right, are we together? Thank you. Last 2 minutes. Thank you, Baba. We are submitting.
Ja, ons gaan ons met die Here begin praat.